and good morning. Dr. Roddenberry coming to you live from the Social Sciences Resource Center on South Campus. Hope everybody's having a great day. Welcome to week 7. Hey, just a quick note about last week. I hope everybody enjoyed the snow. It was so beautiful and so cold, but now I'm glad it's gone. Hope each and every one of you had a chance to get out and play a little bit in the snow last week. I'd like to thank everybody for their discussion board participation last week. I was surprised to see the variability in gifts that y'all were given. You know, there was cash, a lot of cash, a little cash, candy, prizes, pizza. I went to school in the 70s and the 80s, and the only thing I got was trouble if I didn't do my grades right? So it's definitely a different world. A lot of you seem to sort of tell me that maybe we shouldn't reward too many grades because it's bad for motivation. I think most of you were probably talking because you thought that's what the teacher wanted to hear. And you were right, so good job. Hey, we had a couple extra people in webinar last week. It was really interesting. Everybody seemed to have a good time, so I encourage you to come to the webinar this Thursday at 7 p.m. if you can make it. If you can't, don't worry, just do the discussion board as always and just keep on rocking. Okay, so for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing cognitive psychology, chapter 7 and chapter 8. Cognitive psychology is interested in how humans think and process information. How and why do we perceive things? How do we remember things? And how do we use this information? Now, these next 2 weeks are in direct contrast to Chapter 6, Behaviorism, which is decidedly anti-mentalistic. The behaviorists didn't like thinking at all, and they were more interested in the environment and behavior. Now, I can't tell you how important the invention of the computer was to the cognitive sciences. The computer was invented in the late 40s, 1949, I think it was. And this proved for the first time that we actually could use the idea of an algorithm to understand how people processed information. Up until that time, nobody had shown proof of concept that human thinking obeyed laws and rules. In fact, some of you may have heard the term stream of consciousness. That was a term coined by William James to suggest that measuring the mind was sort of like trying to measure a stream. If you dip your cup into a stream 2 different times to measure the consciousness, you would never get the same water the second time. And it was commonly believed that human thinking was sort of like that. It was unmeasurable. But the invention of the computer showed that a rule-based or algorithm-based processing system could work. It was sort of proof of concept. And so the cognitive psychologists are interested in understanding the programming, the thought processes, how human beings process information. And it turns out that there are rules about how human beings process information and that they are universal. We all think and our memory works in generally the same way. Now, chapter 7, the invention of the computer sort of influenced psychology in 2 ways. Number one is the computer created, as soon as the computer was born, artificial intelligence was born. People wanted to know, hey, if a computer can process information, can we make it do human-like things? And so chapter 7 is actually going to focus on the early AI approaches. So when you read about the problem-solving approaches in chapter 7, these approaches were developed from early programmers trying to create programs that could solve human problems. And in fact, there are lots of different strategies that will allow decision makers to solve certain problems. But your book, chapter 7, is also going to mention this thing called functional fixedness, which is when you can't move from one problem-solving model to another. Now, it turns out that one of the big problems with artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence can be programmed to do one thing really well, But general artificial intelligence, the ability to switch from task to task easily, like humans do, is still beyond the reach of artificial intelligence. With machine learning, we're getting closer. But what you're going to learn in Chapter 7 is that none of these problem-solving approaches is really superior, and they each have situations in which they work. And so this is sort of an introduction to the difficulty of artificial intelligence. In Chapter 7, it's a straight psychology chapter that focuses on cognitive processes. And the second approach that was born out of the computers was this idea that if computers obey rules, then what are the rules or the programs that are born into everyone's mind? So you're going to learn that human beings can store in their conscious awareness 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information at any given time. You're going to learn about long-term memory processes and how memory is stored, how memories are stored in long-term memory, and what memory strategies are good and bad. And so you're going to sort of learn about the information process as it occurs in the human mind. And that's in Chapter 8. So the next couple of weeks are going to be focused on thinking and mentalistic activities, and it's going to be completely different from Chapter 5, and hopefully it'll give you an appreciation of where the modern science of psychology is, because psychology is now two things. It's cognition and it's neuroscience. In fact, the Department of Psychology at UNC Chapel Hill, where I graduated, is now called the Department of Cognitive Neuroscience. So this is where it's all heading in the future. So you should get a good grounding of Chapter 7 and 8, human thinking processes. Well, that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in webinar if you can make it on Thursday or on the discussion boards. Take care and have a great day. Bye.